big question for a lot of people is why did these Democratic senators, including Dick Durbin and a bunch of more moderate gubernatorial governing types, why did they end the shutdown? Lots of ways to try to explain it. Here is here is man, this is a long list of things I got to scroll through. My apologies. Uh, well, play the mashup of the senators. Play the mashup of the Democratic senators. I'll tell you the number in a moment.
This is the beginning to show and fight for Americans across the country. Let me just say this, with the government open, we can focus on passing a full bipartisan budget for 2026.
I understand that not all of my Democratic colleagues are satisfied with this agreement, but waiting another week or another month wouldn't deliver a better outcome.
It was our judgment after 6 weeks, going on 7 weeks of this shutdown, that path wasn't working.
Airlines which have been
So that
dealing
that
with
Schumer sound, that Shaheen soundbite's in some ways the key, as I understand it from talking to folks and reading the coverage. They didn't think there was a better deal coming up anytime soon. Be interesting later this week when Senator from New Jersey, Cory Booker, is supposed to speak at a big dinner in New Hampshire that Shaheen and her colleague, who also voted for the deal, will be at, because a lot of the energy in the room will be against the deal that their own senators voted for. Also against the deal, Senator Chuck Schumer. Here's his 12-second explanation. 106B, please.
For months and months, Democrats have been fighting to get the Senate to address the health care crisis. This bill does nothing to ensure that that crisis is addressed. I am voting no, and I will keep fighting.
Despite that, 107, Ro Khanna and other Democrats are saying Schumer failed. He should have kept the 8 in line. Here's
yeah, by the way, he doesn't say I urge my colleagues to vote against this.
Right.
Yeah.
He's silent on it.
You might as well have winked at the end of that
Yeah.
video, been like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm
You
voting
all,
no.
You all do what you got to do. Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced, Ro Khanna tweeted. If you can't lead to the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Now, Bernie Sanders, Ro Khanna, and I, and many others agree that the Democrats basically caved. But there are some who are saying Democrats actually won this fight and achieved so very, very much. I don't know how many of them actually believe it versus spin, but here's someone I respect. This is Claire McCaskill, former senator, on Morning Joe, claiming victory, 111.
I think definitely it was a plus for Democrats. We have framed the issue for the country now. It is very clear what the Democrats are fighting for and what they're fighting against. And we've got Trump tearing down the White House and figuring out ways to get tax breaks to billionaires in the back door. And we're arguing about the best way to fight for most Americans, for their health care costs and for other costs that they're facing every day. And listen, I mean, are there disagreements within the party about how best to do this? Yeah, there are. But, you know, our party, the Democratic Party, is fighting how we best fight for everyday Americans. And you know what the Republicans are fighting about? The Republicans are fighting about whether or not they should platform Nazis. So, I mean, I like that we have a disagreement about the best way to do it.
All right, let's talk first about just the legislative process here before we talk about whether it was a big win for the Democrats or not. First, Sean, what happens next? What does Rand Paul do? What does the House do? And then what happens on health care?
So there are a few things. One, by passing the 3 additional bills, the military, the VA part of this, they're taking a lot of the stuff off the table, which is really important as we go forward. That's a key component to this deal, because when we go into January and we shut the government down again, in case you haven't seen the trilogy, I think we're probably at this point. That's going to be a big deal because it's going to lessen the blow. So, I mean, look, I think they get the votes today. It goes to the House. The House will vote on Wednesday, Thursday. It opens back up again. On healthcare, everyone I asked last night, the same thing over and over again. What's the deal? Punt was the word of the night. Punt. They'll have a vote. And then I think this is where it's going to get complicated. Hopefully, if the Democrats are smart, this is where it gets interesting for Republicans, because now we've got to figure out duration of subsidies, if any, and percentage of overall. So this is where I think that, you know, and then plus, oh, by the way, we're kicking the can for what, 12 weeks? when we're going to have to do this all over again. So, I mean, all we've done is a very Washington thing, which is to buy time.
Dan, anything part of the legislative process you want to highlight that Sean didn't mention?
No, I think the only thing I would add is just kind of splitting the Claire McCaskill thing, which is that, look, we lost the shutdown battle. The question is, can you win the healthcare war for the reason that Sean just said, which is now you are turning attention to that. And that is where we are more united. Republicans are more divided. You had Trump saying we'll send money and Cassidy directly to people. Like it splits everything in half. So I think to move on, right? Because it's real lives of real people and focus on healthcare.
But Dan,
So,
the
can we
Democrats
just go
want-
back to
Go ahead.
just real quick on the deal? I mean, look, there's a lot of things that I think we can take away. One, the Dems were never going to win this, and they knew it. This was the equivalent of us with the wall, 8 years ago, which was it was just a matter of time before you quote caved. Every one of those Democrats owes a debt of gratitude to the 8 that jumped in, because the reality was all it was going to do is get more painful. The air traffic control was coming to a grinding halt. And I think that the reality is those 8 people bailed out everybody else, and they can put out their cute little statements, but at the end of the day, they should give them a little slap on the back later today and say, hey, thanks for doing this for me.
I mean, I totally agree with you. The idea that people were going to go hungry at Thanksgiving, that air traffic was going to start grinding to a halt, that people were going to have more and more paychecks missing. When, by the way, some of these people who voted, 150,000 federal employees are in their combined three of the senators' states. Like, the real lives of real people. Like, when the party says just squeeze harder and like we'll keep it shut down till January, like that's insane in terms of people's lives. It just is.
So, what's I know none of the 8 are up for re-election.
Yep.
And I know they're of a certain category of, problem solvery types, but why was it just those 8? Was because Schumer secretly said, let's get 8, and that's why Durbin had to do it, because there wasn't an 8th and Durbin fell on his sword? Like,
well, somebody with Mr. Jeffrey's office pointed out to me this morning, like where the House is frustrated and the party's frustrated is Shaheen and others from day one were saying, we're having a conversation. We're trying to think of a way to negotiate out of this. And to some in the party, you undercut our stance from day one. There was a group that was never comfortable with the shutdown, which we talked about, I think, in August. And they kept, as they should, working toward a solution to avoid the pain to real lives of real people. And so I think it's not that this suddenly they kickstarted. It's that for 40 days, they sat there and stared at a wall while some were negotiating. And they just said, are we really going to stay dug in for 2 more months?
Yeah, lots of almost any Democrat with a tough primary is going to come out against this deal, right?
Yep.
Because they have to. Let me read you a statement from one Democrat who's running for Congress in a contested primary, House primary. Improving healthcare has been the cause of my life. It's why I'm running for Congress. So I cannot support this deal when Speaker Johnson refuses to even allow a vote to extend healthcare tax credit. Too many people see healthcare costs that are already too high skyrocket. This means more people will be uninsured. We need to both end the shutdown and extend the tax credits. Otherwise, no deal. Goes on. Interesting, though, the reason I'm highlighting this particular statement, even though it sounds like many others, Stephanie Shaheen, Jean Shaheen's own daughter, who's running for the House in New Hampshire, opposes the deal her mother just struck.
Thanksgiving should be fun.
Yeah. I guess I ask again for either of you, why these 8? Why exactly 8 and why these 8? Because Schumer sanctioned it? Or just by coincidence or exactly
the Durbin piece is the one that kind of does not fit for me, which
Correct.
is he's a member of leadership.
Right. But it seems like Shaheen and company couldn't get an 8th, and Schumer and Durbin said, well, we got to do this. Because
we've talked about Durbin here since September, again, that he was one of the people we all pointed to say, because I think because at the end of the day, they know they've got to get out of it. They can't continue to squeeze people this hard, like the real people.
But if these 8 saved everybody else in the party, which is I think what a lot of people believe, that now they're just being pilloried, including by Jean Shaheen's own daughters effectively attacking her mom. Like, doesn't seem nice, doesn't seem fair to those 8.
Sure, but I bet they all, like, I think in Nevada, they won't pay a price. Fetterman's not going to ultimately pay a price. I mean, just go around the map. Chris Pappas can say what he wants, but he should still be, I mean, they fell on the sword for the part. The one who's going to probably take the heat now is Schumer.
Yes.
I mean,
And
he's
that's the
arguing
irony. This is why this is the whole
what we
funny thing.
forecast in August.
He played
This
this
is exactly
whole
what we
game,
forecast.
and they're literally just crapping on him the most because
Yeah.
it was so fake. The guy literally, I mean, like it's just so inauthentic. And we've talked about the degree of
So
authenticity.
you two are the Schumer brain trust in the play acting we're about to do. And we turn the clock back 4 months and you see exactly what's transpired. What could he have done differently?
I think what I would do is I would be communicating to the party. Now we have the healthcare fight. Now, like this is it, right? We reopened the government because millions and millions of people were going to start starving and flight cancellations. But now we are going to fight over healthcare. It is the defining issue of the next 4 months. Like instead, he's just like, I'm a no. This is a bad deal. Like he's making it worse for himself.
He did say the healthcare thing, but let me ask you this, because Bernie doesn't think Democrats won. No online blue person thinks they won.
You lost the battle.
Even the podcast bros don't think they won. And on healthcare, like I agree, the Republicans are extremely ridiculous on this and vulnerable. But Democrats' position ranges from single payer to let's talk to Bill Cassidy about sending money to people directly and bypassing insurance companies. Like, won't they have a problem in 26 and 28, Sean, having be on the offense on healthcare when I can tell you what the Democratic Party position on healthcare is?
Sure, extend the ACA credits. There it is.
Well, but that's not happening.
Oh, we'll see about that, Mark. I mean, yeah, I think it is. If it goes back to
I shouldn't say it's not happening.
Reopen the government.
I shouldn't say it's not happening. I'm saying is that doesn't satisfy the whole party. That's not enough for the whole party.
I mean, there'll be some fringe, but yeah, it will.
I think that like if I were I think the Dem messaging is easier than the Republican because they will buy into extending a lot easier than our side doesn't have a consistent or cohesive. I mean, you've got to your point. Hey, let's just give everyone a ton of money to we got to blow the system up again to we got to stop subsidizing insurance companies. We played this game 8 years ago, and there was no answer. So I don't know. I think that you to go back to the part of your question. I think one, Schumer should have made this argument a lot earlier.
Yeah.
And two is or strategically said, guys, we'll keep the government open, but we'll put them on defense on healthcare. There was no strategy. And that was the thing is even we talk to this every day. What did they want?
What's the end game?
Vote? Yep. Was it? There was no defined strategy and there was no leadership. And if anything, that's what Schumer should go down for, is the fact that nobody understood what they were actually trying to get.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.